Hi guys, welcome back to another Wild Side Wednesdays. This week we're going to be talking about some of the rarer species of cetaceans that we see throughout the Hawaiian Islands. So let's recap on what a cetacean is exactly. Cetaceans include whales, dolphins, and porpoises, and these animals are animals that have evolved to thrive living in the ocean for their entire life. They have streamlined bodies, blowholes or a blowhole to breathe air. Their hind limbs have become reduced and turned into tails, and their arms have become flippers. In the Hawaiian Islands, there have been 18 species of toothed whale documented and 7 species of baleen whales documented, with the most common being our humpback whales and spinner dolphins. However, with the Hawaiian Islands being the most isolated chain of islands in the entire world, located in the middle of the North Pacific Ocean, we do have a lot of rare and infrequent visitors. And sometimes these visitors come close enough to shore that we may be able to see them on one of our trips. So today we're just going to talk about some of those rarer species and some sightings that we've had recently here off the coast of Oahu and throughout the entire island chain. So first we have one of the most commonly known whales probably in the entire world, and that is the killer whale or orca. Orcas are actually the largest species of oceanic dolphin in family Delphinidae. And we don't have a resident population of orca or killer whale here in the Hawaiian Islands, but we do see them from time to time. Cascadia Research Collective collected sightings of killer whales from the year 2000 to June of 2020, and they only documented 4 sightings of these animals. They do have a catalog with about 57 individuals, and they have been able to recite a couple of individuals during that time. All that means is that they're using those dorsal fins on the animal's back to recognize individuals. We're thinking that the killer whales that we see in our islands sometimes are part of a wide-ranging Central Pacific population and not necessarily a Hawaiian Island killer whale population. Just a couple months ago, in June, there were actually a pod of killer whales spotted off of Kaena Point here on the west side of Oahu, and then they were spotted off of Nanakuli, and then there was a pod spotted off the Big Island. We don't know if these pods were the same. They definitely could be. They were traveling from north to south, and when they were on the Big Island, they were actually observed feeding on a small sperm whale, which is actually the next species I'm going to talk about. So sperm whales are actually the largest toothed whale, averaging a length of up to 60 feet. If you're familiar with our humpback whales, you can kind of compare those sizes. Humpback whales are anywhere from 45 up to 55 feet, so about the size of a humpback whale. Sperm whales are named for the spermaceti organ located in their head, and this is oil that made them really popular for whalers back in the day. People would hunt these whales and use that spermaceti oil for things like lamps and lubricants, candles, stuff like that. And sperm whales actually have the largest and most complex brain of any animal on the planet that we know of. And its head actually encompasses about 1/3 of its entire body. These sperm whales are another species that can be spotted in a bunch of different places around the world, often crossing great ocean basins, which is why we get to see them out here in Hawaii every once in a while. These animals are also some of the most incredible deep diving marine mammals, diving up to 3,000 feet and able to hold their breath for up to 2 hours while they're at that depth, feeding primarily on giant squid. From 2002 to 2012, Cascadia Research Collective actually had 32 sightings of sperm whales around the Hawaiian Islands, most of those occurring off of the coast of the Big Island. Like I mentioned when I was talking about orcas, the orcas were spotted feeding on a small sperm whale off the coast of the Big Island just earlier this year. A sperm whale, possibly the same one, was also spotted off Kaina Point off of the west side. So it could have been the same sperm whale and the same pod of orcas tracking that sperm whale all the way down to the Big Island where they finally had their feast. For more in-depth information on these amazing animals, you can watch PBS's Inside Nature's Giants, the sperm whale episode, for free on the PBS website. Another group of cetaceans that we don't get to see very often out here, but sometimes get a special treat, are the beaked whales. So the beaked whales are the least known group of cetaceans in the entire world, mostly for their champion deep diving status. So these guys are the breadwinners when it comes to how deep they can dive, diving up to 5,000 feet and holding their breath for up to an hour and a half, 2 hours. Now, at that depth of about 5,000 feet, that is 1,500 pounds of pressure per square inch on their body. So really a remarkable feat. There are 22 species of beaked whales, and from time to time we see just a few of those species out here, including the Baleen Whales beaked whale and the Cuvier's beaked whale. A new species of beaked whale was actually just discovered in 2019. Some of these animals have some very distinct features. Some males of certain beaked whale species have 2 teeth growing from their lower jaw around their upper jaw, and that makes them kind of look like tusks. And sometimes you'll see barnacles growing on these teeth, which gives them kind of a goofy appearance. These animals are primarily feeding on squid and various deep water fish species. Another rare species you may get the chance to see out here are a dolphin called the Fraser's dolphin, named after the scientists who first identified them. This is an offshore species that looks most familiar to a bottlenose dolphin, but with a blunt rostrum and tri-coloration. These guys are anywhere from 6 to up to 9 feet long. There have only been 4 documented sightings of Fraser dolphins by Cascadia Research Collective in the Hawaiian Islands through their couple decades of working out here. And earlier this year, off the coast of Oahu, off the west side, out of Waianae here, we actually did have a sighting of Fraser's dolphins. It was the first ever recorded off the coast of Oahu, and they were associated with melon-headed whales and a couple other sightings of Fraser's dolphins. They have also been associated with these melon-headed whales.
They can be found in tropical and warm temperate oceanic waters all around the world, guys. This species was actually first recorded in 1846 for the islands of Hawaii. The resident populations of rough-toothed dolphins for the Hawaii Islands are actually in Kauai, Niihau, and Hawaii Island. And photo ID catalogs have about 1,100 distinctive individuals with Cascadia Research Collective. When rough-toothed dolphins are born, guys, they are about 3 feet in length, and when they are fully grown, they can reach about 9 feet maximum. And as far as a maximum weight, they can get up to about 340 pounds as adults. And the females will actually reach sexual maturity around 8 to 10. The males are going to reach sexual maturity around 5 to 10 years old. I like to say these animals look a little bit like they're from the dinosaur age. They have brown protruding eyes, a very long snout, and a sloping forehead. Their lower jaw is actually gray when they're born, and as they get older, it becomes very white. And if you look at their skin, they're kind of a dark coloration with some blotchy, patchy areas, which is totally normal for them. Typically, they will be in group sizes of about 11 as they're going around. And when these guys are hunting, they're going to be actively hunting during the day and are going after very small fish. That can be flying fish or even the small schools that congregate around the surface. Occasionally, they will go after mahi-mahi. And it's very common to see these rough-toothed dolphins hanging around a FAD or a fishing aggregate device, which is there to help fishermen because the fish will congregate around those.
So it really just goes to show you never know what you're going to see out here in the middle of the North Pacific Ocean. We also have some rare sightings of baleen whales passing through as well. So the baleen whales are whales like humpback whales that have that baleen hanging from their upper jaw instead of teeth. The fin whale is the second largest whale behind the blue whale, up to 75 feet long, and Cascadia Research Collective has had 2 sightings, one in December 2012 and another in February of 2015. We've also had sightings of Sei whales, which is the 3rd largest whale, one in January 2015 off of Waianae, and then another in March of 2018 off of the island of Lanai. Whale watching off the coast of the Hawaiian Islands is always incredible. You never know what you're going to see out here. No 2 trips are the same, and you always have the opportunity to see one of these amazing species. As always, things you can do to help these animals out is reducing your single-use plastic use, knowing where your seafood is coming from, and always researching and educating yourself about the companies that you're thinking about doing tourism tours with when you are on vacation. Thanks again for tuning in to another Wild Side Wednesdays, and we will see you next week.